Partway down Cedar Haven Road is the Cedar Haven Trailer Park, and then this feeds all of Hydro Bay Road, and all of Mowat Road and West Ross Road. Hydro Bay Road now used to be seasonal, like not seasonal road, but seasonal residents. There's a lot of full-time residents down there now, and Mowat Road is all full-time. Like it used to be more cottage country, and not so much anymore.
So again, this one is contracted out, so this would be Part A and Part B would be Colesmith. Township staff will be doing Kerr, the portion of industrial we will decide on, and Corner View. What's not listed here is Waterview, so there's $15,000 previously set aside for that road. So staff will be putting that down and fixing any of the heaving or issues. And then there's a commitment to look at that innovative potential treatment on that road in 2018. But although it's not listed here because the money's already in the budget and it's just gravel, staff will be taking care of Waterview, Corner View, Kerr, and industrial.
So even though it's listed in the previous budget, it's now a new year, you still have to bring it forward to this year's budget so that it's in this year's budget?
Yeah, the issue with this one,
and take it out of reserves if it was thrown into reserves?
And whether it's operations or capital, because it's $15,000, like it's gravel, and fixing it. So that's one that we will clarify for next week in terms of putting it on the list.
Was it taken out of taxes last year and then put into reserves at the end of the year? So if it's operational, maybe you can just use that reserve section for something else as a suggestion, as a treasurer. Sorry. That's it for roads. Then we go on to equipment.
Unfortunately, Terry wasn't able to join us tonight, so hopefully Randy can answer some of the equipment questions here. So basically, we're looking at replacing truck 16 with a new tandem, and that cost is $270,000. Replacing truck 18 with a 3-ton Class 6 at a cost of $217,000. Replacing truck 21 with a 1-ton F550 at a cost of $65,150. For that one specifically, we have a resolution that Robert will read. If council, do you want to go ahead and
Which picture is that?
That would be I believe it's this one, the service truck? Service truck? Service truck. Oh, sorry, yes, I guess he wanted to wait for the service truck also, but I think he wasn't worried about the service truck so much, eh?
It's the F-150, the F-550 one. The white one? Yeah, that one.
This one, yeah. There we go.
So just with regard to 18 and 21, those are the existing 1-tons with the cracked frames. They've been off the road for a long period of time, 3 months in the case of 21. Randy had a look in terms of should we replace them with 1-tons, and what we're recommending is replacing one of the units with a 3-ton that could service the village of Cobden. But what we're saying is because they've been out of the fleet for 3 months and we've kind of been making do, but patch season is upon us, and we've got a good deal on the F550. We can use our existing equipment and add it, and save, I think it's in the realm of $40,000. So the recommendation we have is to authorize an emergency single source purchase of the Ford 550 truck at a cost of $64,000 plus HST. And it's to replace Unit 21 that's been out of the fleet for 3 months due to a cracked frame. And Randy can maybe speak to...
One question I have, Randy, before you speak. Is it better to have a crew cab for patching, or is it better just to have, because usually one person drives and one person patches, but sometimes if you have students, you might be sending more than the two, or just
many times we send 3. The cab will hold 3 people. 1 drives and 2 walk behind the truck patching.
Right.
This truck is a brand new truck.
Okay.
It's just it's a year old, but it's brand new.
But it's brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you need, a mover and a seconder? Mayor Johnson? Oh, sorry, I thought you wanted to talk. Okay, we'll do a mover and a seconder, and then we'll discuss. Okay, can I have a mover and a seconder? So this is the recommendation, did you read that? That Council of the Township of Whitewater Region authorize a single-source emergency purchase of 1-ton F-550 truck at a cost of $64,000. Is that what you said?
Plus HST.
Plus HST. You said you were going to get it for about 40? Is that what I heard?
No, savings.
So the
Savings of 40.
Because it comes out at 100 plus attachments.
Okay, plus HST, replace unit truck 21, which has been taken out of the municipal fleet for the last 3 months due to a cracked frame. So mover, Mayor Johnson, seconder, Councillor Mackay. Any discussion? Mayor Johnson.
Are we gonna retrofit the plow?
Terry said we can use one of the plows off
Yeah, we'll
the one ton.
retrofit
There's
that.
one that's been refurbished and it's in nearly new condition.
Okay, that was,
And I'll have no problems attaching to this truck?
Terry says not.
Perfect. Any other questions, Reeve Miller?
There we go. In regard to the plow, is this, I've heard some discussions about the grader getting into trouble in Compton and maybe shouldn't be used in Compton. Is this the idea of the plow on this truck to do Compton streets, or what are you plowing, sidewalks, or what's the deal with this?
No, I think that's the 3-ton.
Ah, I'm out of page. Oh, got it now. Okay, it all makes more sense now.
Different truck.
Forget it.
Okay. Any other discussion with regards to this motion on the table to purchase this truck? All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. You're going to have discussion now?
No, I was going to ask Randy a question. Is the truck that's now being used at by the roads department that is supposed to be at the landfill, it will be going back to the landfill? Okay. No, it's not a discussion, it's clarification.
Perfect. Next.
So we're gonna replace the trackless, the sidewalk machine at a cost of $162,820, and the picture's up on the screen.
And does it come with all the attachments that we need for that price?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And then this is the service truck for the mechanic, and this is a cost of $30,550.
And this is a used or a new?
It's used.
What year is it?
Oh, jeepers, I don't have that
I don't
info.
have the answer for that.
How much will it cost to have it painted to our colors? Or are we planning to do that, or will they be taking off their logos and all of that? Do you have any idea, Randy, sir?
I'm not sure what Terry is planning on doing, whether he's planning on painting it. It is yellow, I see.
Yeah, I'm just thinking the logos and stuff like
Oh,
that.
that would be removed.
Yeah. It might need to be repainted.
Yes, possibly.
Councillor McLaughlin?
The only problem I have with this is that if we purchase this, then when this truck wears out, we will be purchasing another one. We did that with the fire department. We purchased a truck and they wore out, then we had to repurchase 2 more. Like, I don't know if this, to me, is it really necessary to have this truck? Or are we buying it basically because it's used and the price is right?
I have basically the same concern as Councillor McLaughlin, and I'm just wondering if you could contact the county to see if there's any used ambulances that are going to come up this year, because you can get them around $5,000. You could also use that vehicle, for instance, if you had a break for water or sewer. I know that we don't necessarily attend those. Some of the staff does attend them, I think, still, right?
Yes.
To do the roads portion of it. So it would be a warm place to sit in. It would carry some of the supplies that might be needed for a water or sewer break, as well as mechanical tools and stuff in the back of an ambulance. I don't know. just a
I
suggestion.
wish Terry was here to speak for that, but that truck is better equipped for mechanical work. It's got a boom on it for lifting heavy, say the wing was broken, he can use the boom to pick it up if the cable has gone off of it. It's more mechanically, for a mechanic, it's better equipped for that purpose.
Okay, and I guess the other thing, is it also saves in, tow truck costs
Yes,
back and
because
forth to Valley.
Terry has no problem with going out on the side of the road to fix a truck.
Right.
Just if I can, currently Terry's using the CBO's former vehicle. So obviously it's not equipped for that need. We will look into the county potential for other vehicles. But what we would do is we would repurpose the one he's currently using for parks and community services, and then make a determination before the end of the summer and use it as a pilot to see about getting around, and that vehicle may be surplused. But this is what, just because of the nature of the work that we have our certified mechanic doing, this is the truck he's recommending. He's also looked at brand new trucks and has made the recommendation. I think this has low kilometers, so it's a good purchase.
How often does he go out on site to do work?
Fairly often this winter he has to with
our
blown
broken
hydraulic
trucks.
lines and things,
Yeah.
yeah.
And prior to getting not the old CBO, but the CBO's old truck, did he have a vehicle before that?
I don't think so.
Okay, I hear mumbling on two sides. Mayor Johnson, Councillor McLaughlin, do you have a comment?
The mechanic that we have in our employ at this point goes out to do repairs, and in the past, our repairs, when we had broken hoses and so forth, they brought them into the garage to do them. So a major hose was also a major hydraulic pump, and our mechanic, Terry, does things where a mechanic should in every operation and construction. One of these trucks, I know our company purchased 2 of those trucks last year, and they paid over $300,000 for them each. They're a little bigger than this one, but they also would hold almost all his parts department in the toolboxes. So they are actually quite an investment. Plus, he can change a grader tire on the fly, and he has spares. He can do all kinds of things with this truck that he can't do otherwise. And I'm sure the county would love to have one. If you talk to their mechanic, they don't have one.
I guess that's my point. They don't have one. Why do we need one? Because they tow. And I mean, some of their equipment gets towed just as far as what our equipment would get towed to. So I don't know. Maybe it could be a bubble item in the event that there needs to be some cuts. We can discuss it next week. But that wasn't the motion, so that was the other motion. So yeah, no, a bubble item. Councillor Mackay.
I just think if the truck is down and the mechanic can fix it, that's lost, it's back on the road, it's not lost time, lost money. When your truck is down, you have to get it towed. You're always losing time, you're not catching up. And that's the nice thing about a mechanic coming out and fixing your stuff right there.
I agree. One of the questions I had earlier today when I spoke to Robert and Marcia is that we need to have a list of all of our vehicles, how old they are, when they need to be replaced. We've replaced a number of vehicles in the last few years, so it's important to understand what other old vehicles are out there before we start purchasing a truck, so that our mechanic is going out. If we're going to continue to replace in a timely fashion the fleet, then we shouldn't have the breakdowns that we're having. So hopefully this truck wouldn't be required, is my thoughts. But that fleet, once we get a list of fleet and when it's to be replaced, we'll have a better idea of what we're up against in the next few years, and maybe this is worthwhile. But until that listing is prepared, I think this is a bubble item. Okay?
So we
Not
will,
removed, just a bubble item.
Yeah, we will have that list for probably early next week for next week's discussions. And I should also point out, he also services the 10 fire heavy equipment as well as any other light
And landfill.
vehicles, so the landfill vehicles, so not just our roads crew. But we will have a detailed list, or one exists, and we just ask for a few extra
So a
columns.
listing of all of the vehicles that we own, including the fire trucks, including everything, and when they need to be replaced. Councillor McLaughlin?
This is just to Randy. I'm glad to see we're finally going to replace this, sidewalk plow that I think was on the radar at least 5 years ago, to be replaced, and it seemingly has maybe even longer than that. Am I correct? My question is, Randy, whenever you go to get, is it going to go into surplus? Because where I'm coming from, the Airport Commission would love to get an offer on it, when it goes into
The old one would probably, yes, be going into surplus.
Yeah, well, I hope not the new one.
No.
Yeah, no, the old one, Randy, whenever it does, if you could notify the Airport Commission or let me know, so that they would get a chance to bid on it, or I don't know how you're going to go about disposing of it. We're not keeping it, are we? No, okay.
Okay.
And
Next
then,
item.
just a new compressor at the Mindview Garage at a cost of $3,200. Then for the building maintenance, Mindview Garage is looking at replacing some lights at $4,000 and spray foam insulation at the Westmeath Garage at a cost of $20,000. And the sewer treatment plant, last year we budgeted $40,000 of the Cast in Place project. This year for the 2017 budget, we're going to finance the balance owing of $42,801. And then this year we're also going to budget half of the generator cost at $25,000 in this year's budget. The balance will be on 2018 budget. And then you'll see the True Love Design Engineering cost for the sewer at 20%, which is $34,498.73.
Any discussion on the sewer treatment plant issues? Okay. Recreation?
The recreation, so their capital, what they've come up with is they'd like a new penalty box, $12,000, new puck boards, a little over $7,000, a new dressing room door at $2,600. They do have a couple of other items, but that will be smaller items, that'll be part of the grant process that we'll bring back to council next week.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Marcia, I don't know whether there's been miscommunication or not, but I remember speaking to you about Forster's Falls, and they were looking for $15,000 to build a new shelter.
Oh, yes. Okay, I'll add that on for next week.
Okay.
I'll have to find that paper.
Yeah, maybe I
Was it
didn't.
Dave Alexander?
It was
Yeah.
Dave Alexander, and if you don't find it, if you could, because I know that was to be put on the budget, and I assume it was just a miscommunication. It may be me as well. My computer skills aren't all that great, and I may not have forwarded it to you. But I do remember
you talked to me about it,
we did speak about it.
Yeah.
Was there anything from Beachburg coming forward, or is it
Just the unfinanced
Compton?
tractor of $18,069.
Just in terms of number 2, the discussions around the land around the arena in Cobden and whether they need, and then accessibility, and we basically said that maybe what we should be doing is kind of doing some kind of medium and long-term planning in terms of, instead of doing this piecemeal and actually doing a study to see what needs to happen. So that would be structural, but as much as also space needs. If you're going to put an addition, where would it go? All those things, accessibility. And then I know Beachburg, the operator there is very creative in terms of trying to find solutions for additions. However, that creativity might, is it feasible? Is it doable? So we're recommending that we take a good hard look at those 2 buildings in terms of where they're at and the work they need to be done, just structurally. And then secondly, the accessibility work, and then so we can prioritize all that work. And then thirdly, any additions and future work where would that happen so that we can make other decisions such as do we need additional land in and around the Cobden Arena. So we're estimating 20,000 for each. How we would fund that, I think, is to be discussed in terms of could the Beachburg Fund assist with the portion for Beachburg. But I think we need a plan so that we're making investments that if we're going to do one work, it doesn't kind of preclude us from doing other things down the road. So we take a kind of medium to long-term view on both these facilities. I should point out, just doing some research, that Westmeath did a condition assessment. When it did its strategic plan, it did some of this work already. So Westmeath has already done some of this work. So this would be to do some pre-planning for these two arenas.
And Westmeath did that on their own with their own funds. That's the issue that I have, is in our agreement, recreation agreement, does it address any work that needs to be done by the rec associations as opposed to by the municipality? And the other question I have is there a plan of attack, and who's getting the funding of the $25,000 from Hockeyville, and what are their plans, and what is that going to cost the township, if anything? I guess is the biggest thing. I'm unaware of what the requirements are for them. They applied on behalf of the Cobden Arena, even though the Cobden Arena is owned by the township. We weren't involved in that application, and it makes it very difficult to move forward without knowing plans and where that money is going to be spent. So a lot of people have voted for the Cobden Arena, and I'd like to know what those plans are for that money, as well as, not that I'm saying that it definitely needs money to go towards it, but what's the implications for the township? What money are we having to put forward to accomplish what their goal is? And we haven't yet been presented with what their plans are, and I would suggest that they should do that.
And I think this feeds into that in the sense of having a plan that we would support in terms of, so that when we or others are investing into the facility, that it's based on a plan in terms of where we're going long term. I should point out that also the governance issues here are kind of interesting in the sense that Cobden, we appoint a board. So when you appoint a board, it's technically us. So yes, we empower them to make decisions on our behalf, but we own it, but we also technically operate it through that board. So I understand that looking at your strat plan that we're doing a fire master plan to look at fire. Recreation, we're not doing a comprehensive review of recreation, but these two studies would give us a good sense of where we need to go with these two facilities. So that when we are investing $25,000 in the facility, it's in stuff that needs to happen and not kind of like, we need a plan, right? Because everybody thinks, oh yeah, we need an elevator. Well, maybe we don't need an elevator. We need a list of all the work that needs to be done over the next 10 to 20 years.
Councillor Olmsted?
Yeah, as far as the Hockeyville that you're alluding to, there's no detailed requirements necessary from Kraft to enter that. That's actually a contest that they put forward for Canadians in order to help facilitate any improvements to your local arenas. So I think they had, 11,000 arenas across Canada submit something. So you actually don't need to submit a detailed list of, this is going to cost this amount, this is going to cost this amount. It's a set amount that if you make the top 10, you get 25 grand, period. So whether you want to do $500,000 worth of work, whether you want to do $5 grand worth of work, doesn't matter. You're going to win the contest of $25,000. Cobden Rec Association and it was actually Ottawa Valley Thunder Girls Hockey that actually entered the contest on behalf of the arena, and they entered it with the premise that they want to make the arena more accessible. And there's a number of ideas that the Cobden Rec Committee, along with Jerry, the arena manager, and Cobden Thunder had brought forward, and it's just stuff like accessibility, where when you're in the canteen area, they'd have maybe a lift in there, so it'd be wheelchair accessible and stuff like that. But it's nothing that would be on anywhere near the scale that we're talking about here to do a study and what we need to do.
I agree. I guess the comment that I have is that without knowing what their plans are. It is our building. I'm not saying none of their plans wouldn't be approved here, but it would be nice to know so that we can make a proper decision going forward with some of these other things. And if there is a plan that's in place as to what needs to be done, it makes more sense to address those issues in the lobby first. And yes, it's absolutely wonderful, and I spent hours voting for in Hockeyville, so that Cobden, you know, hopefully could have won the big money, but they did an excellent job, and I don't want to take anything away from that, and I'm so happy that, you know, we're in receipt of $25,000, but I think in conjunction with the owner of the building, that $25,000 has to be put to good use, and I agree it needs some accessibility, so I think there has to be some communication between the owners, which is the Township of Whitewater Region and the Cobden Rec Association and on Ottawa Valley Thunder, just to make sure that us as ratepayers and everybody in the county that has voted, that they see a result for that $25,000 is what I want to see. Yes?
I believe, now, I haven't been there in Kraft for a number of years, but Kraft also has conditions to receive that money, that it has to go towards certain things now. So
right.
Perhaps, I think it was Chris Plow on the Ottawa Valley Thunder had made the submission. Now they would get a list of conditions that they need to meet in order to receive that funding.
Right. So it would be nice for them to share that with us so that we understand and make sure that those conditions, that we can work alongside them and the Cobden Rec Association to ensure that those are fulfilled, and we're not making decisions to overlap or interfere with some of those recommendations that they want to come forward with. Like I said, I don't want to interfere. I'm really happy that it happened, but I want to make sure that it, number one, gets done for the money that, you know, everybody voted for and they were lucky enough to receive, and two is that we're not doing something and then next year tearing it down because we had something else in place, like moving the entrance, if that ever happens. So, you know, I just want to make sure that that all happens in conjunction with each other. Councillor McLaughlin?
I'll direct this one back to Marcia, because I know there was money, that's quite a few years ago, that were funded to both Beachburg and Cobden to do some kind of a study. I thought it was a business study. Am I wrong on that one? And maybe Councillor Rager, you could help me. Do you remember that? I do, because...
Is that the accessibility one?
$10,000?
Was it the accessibility one for $10,000?
Well, I thought this was $20,000, and I thought it was like a needs study being done. It was done in Westmeath, and Westmeath did it on their, some kind of a study on their own.
I'll have to look. That was before I guess was the treasurer, so I'll have to go back in the files
yes,
and see.
I would think you're right, but
okay.
I thought there was money
I'll check on
to
that
see
then.
if that was put out. My next question maybe goes to Robert, and it goes along with what Councillor Jackson's saying, that maybe we should invite these people to come and we could congratulate them on the great job they did, and maybe at that time they could also kind of inform us on what their plans are. Would that be
I think that's an excellent idea.
Okay, so those were my two questions. Just clarification, not discussion.
No, excellent. And I think that's sooner rather than later, because we're still in the Hockeyville mode. Okay. Water. Are we on to water? Or
Yeah.
We did water.
So the water fund is just a True Love design engineering cost at 30%, which is $51,748.09.
Okay,
And
so I
that
think
is it.
that's it for the capital. So I think their staff is needs to be congratulated on a job well done. I know with some people off and still working when they shouldn't be, and Robert has certainly manned the fort well while she was away, and Randy stepping in when required, and Steve, and thank you so much for putting this schedule together. And now the hard part will come when we start looking at what goes to taxes, what gets funded out of reserves, and what gets borrowing. So the next time we'll bring that back.
Well, that will be next week. We're gonna bring back the operating part of it, and hopefully the revenue. Now, it may be a little longer meeting, it may be,
And is that the 29th?
yeah, at 5.
Okay, I have a meeting at 4, but I shouldn't be long,
Okay,
at Ottawa Valley Waste Recovery Center.
okay.
And,
So just remember that we're gonna look to have this budget, come on later?
yeah, like, I don't know, I'm first on the list at 4 o'clock. So I'm hopeful. It's not for it's just to present a report, so it's not really for discussion, I hope. But, I
Yep.
should be here by 5, no problem.
The other thing I should mention, that Randy did some work on the roads that need gravel.
Yeah, and I gave them one.
And Marcia gave you copies, and culverts in need of replacement. So the other one, so I would say if you can review that, and if you know of other kind of bad culverts that Randy may have not have gone with the team, if you can let him know, and then we will be detailing next time Marcia has the numbers in terms of gravel spending and culverts as well. But this reinforces the work that staff will be doing to kind of get caught up on some of the maintenance issues we have.
I think the one at Zion Line, and I don't know if that's the one that says at Dan Bird.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
that's bad.
I think the culvert was actually replaced, but I think there just needs to be the side needs to be reinforced so that the road doesn't start caving in. Like, is that the one I'm thinking, where the pylons used to be forever?
Yes, that's the one, but we're planning on changing it out and putting in a brand new culvert.
Oh, okay,
We actually have it, we already have the culvert, we've had it for a few years.
okay. It's too bad that portion of the road was done 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Councillor Olmsted.
So have we looked at any preliminary, numbers on, probably way too soon to ask the impact on the total budget, right?
Oh, yeah.
Way too soon.
Way too
Way too soon.
I have this chill going up my back.
That's good, it should be there. Okay, any other discussion? So we'll be back here next Wednesday at 5 o'clock with bells on.
If you can just vote on the motion that you reviewed the budget and then the confirmatory bylaw.
Okay. We had a mover and a seconder for the recommendation of the reviewing the budget. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. We've reviewed it. Then the confirmatory bylaw, be it resolved that bylaw 17-03935, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of March 22nd, 2017 be taken as read and passed. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Reeve Miller, Councillor Mackay. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. And we have an adjournment. Adjourned at 22:07. Job